Welcome everybody to team meeting with Murdock Manwaring Company because it is time for your market update, just the stats. Everyone's cheering, but they're on mute, right? Cheering.
Yeah.
We are covering August 2022 here.
Actually covering September, Jess.
Really? I changed everywhere but the first slide. We are covering September of 2022. Just so you know, let's start out and let's rock and roll on this. Okay, so on this, just giving an overview, we are covering Bonneville, Bingham, and Jefferson County here in Southeast Idaho, single-family homes and townhouses, and we add in duplexes and those kind of things. So taking a look in September, we had homes close. 194 homes closed in September. Versus 285 last year. That is down 32%. So that is a significant number. We're going to talk about, as we get down a little bit further, we're going to do a historical look at that. That 285 the last 2 years have been really high. So coming down to 194 actually isn't really that big of a change historically. And we'll see that here coming up. But we had a 32% decrease month over month, September of last year versus September of this year. Here's what the closed home sales look like historically, which I think is super interesting. So as you take a look at the past 6 years of closed homes and you look at it month by month, it's kind of interesting. If you look at September, that we see that we had a low month for September, but I really believe it has to do with our interest rate hike that happened in July and August, that we had so many closings. And I mean, we had so few closings. So if you take a look at August and July and go across the board, you know, it wasn't significantly different than over the years. We actually saw some big years back in 2017. But if you look at this historically, let's kind of take a look at the trend, the seasonality of these closings year over year. So you've got that kind of blue line at the bottom. That's our 2022 line. And this is units closed month over month comparatively. So if we look at the highest number, that 2020, that was our big one, right? That 2020 was a huge one. 2019 was pretty big. And so kind of interesting that we're lower and we're trending, but you see that arc. You see the January up over to December, and that's our seasonality in the area. So we'll see how we go as we go through the winter, as we have these rates change. But that is an interesting, I think, look at historical closed sales. If we take a breakdown of what closed in September just by prices. So in this, you can see the majority of what we closed under 500,000. And if we remember back a while back, we were hitting a lot above the 500,000. But with those rates adjusting, buyers agents, are you guys feeling that? Are you seeing this price point come in? We're looking under 500,000. Yeah, it's really coming out. So we're seeing a significant
less than 15 homes sold under 700,000. Yeah,
it's significant. And then let's take a look at the days on market. So that is, I think, the topic of the day, that it's taking longer for homes to sell. It's not just, you know, we're going to talk about pricing here, but it's taking longer for homes to sell. Even at our hottest price point, which is our 65 units closed between 300 and 400, that was still 34 days on market on average. Still 34 days on market on the closed sales. And you're getting up above 500 and we're averaging 54. Then of course you're getting up to the million, you're in 70s and then above. Now, when we take a look at the year to date, that'll take a look, and the active inventory, we'll see a significant change. That this is just for the month, but we're going to see even more increase in days on market as we go through the stats today. So I thought that was super interesting. Here's just a quick snapshot of where we're going with average price per square foot. Now, this takes into account the whole market, but we have to be careful. You'll want to talk to your buyer's agent when you do your consult, your strategy session with one of our buyer's agents. You want to talk about your average price per square foot in your price point, because this takes into account everything that includes acreage, which we have a lot of homes that have acreage, and that will take the average price per square foot up. If it has a shop, that takes the average price per square foot, because that all gets included in the price, and then they only use the square footage of the home. So taking a look at this doesn't necessarily mean this is where you're at on your price per square foot. But if you take a look at the price per square foot in 2021, It was 140. And if you look at this past month where it's 173, we are up over last month. So I thought that was really interesting.
So what's that saying to sellers is that it's not that you're losing value in your house. You just have to be prepared to wait a bit. You can't just turn around and sell it in a week and move on. Just be patient. Nothing's crashing. There's not, the sky's not falling. It's just taking a little longer.
Well, and historically, it's not longer than should be, or than it, I mean, historically, anywhere from 1 to 3, 4 months is totally normal for a home to sell. What we were dealing with in the market in the last, a couple of years was abnormal. And now we're back to just a much more of a balanced situation. So.
Absolutely. And we'll break it down by price point on the inventory, and you'll see the days on market where we've shifted from a seller's market to buyer's market. Chad.
Okay, let's
sorry, Chad, real quick
Yeah.
before you go on. I think that is good for buyers and sellers. Sellers don't have to frantically, it's not frantic, it's not crazy, it's not, and buyers have some time to think about stuff. And I think we're going to see a lot less fallout on deals. For a long time, we were seeing, what did it get up to, like 29% of all the
one
deals
month at
were falling apart?
25, but yeah, we've been hovering around 20. Now we're down, we'll show we're at 18% coming up here. So yeah,
Everyone's
we
going to be
hope
able
so.
to keep their head together.
Yep. Okay, excellent. So let's look at year to date homes sold. I mean, this number I think paints a little better picture than the other one that is considerably lower. If you go month over month, year over year. But anyway, in 2021 there were 2,154 homes sold this time of year, and this year so far we're at 2022 we're at 1,932 sales. So we're down about 11.4% in sales year over year. And as we move on to average price, this is the one that's just I don't like this, but if we're looking September year over year, and in September it was 396,000, a little over almost 397,000 in 2021. And we're now up to 439,000, almost 440,000 for 2022, which is up 11%. I'd really like to see these numbers flatten out, or even go down just a little bit. I think it would be healthy long-term for our market. So as far as a snapshot of solds, in our market, to kind of give you an idea where the market's been going, we know the market went up. We're on a fast trajectory before rates dropped, and we are up almost 9.7%. And then as they raised the rates, we saw that demand went away a little bit. People left the market, and we saw that the prices actually started going down. And so then we saw, prices going down. And then in September, we actually had a pretty good spike on average sales price, going to that almost $440,000. I can't say that's a great sign. It would be a great sign if our national inflation rate was back down to 2%. But where we aren't, and we're seeing that prices are now going up a little bit, I think that means we might be in this a little bit longer. So anyway,
and Chad, on this, looking at this year to date, we are still up from the beginning of the year, and everyone was going to that. I wish I would have sold at the beginning of the year. We're still up from January.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, year to date, we're up right around 6%. So we've had about a 6% inflation, which is still high. I mean, the national average has always been around 4%. So we're still above average, which, again, we're not super happy about that. We'd rather see it, slow a little more, and maybe we're going to have to make some more changes to make that happen.
Well, and that's why they, adjusted the rates to help the balance, the market balance out. That's why the rates were raised. It's not a bad thing. It's to help balance the market out so that we don't crash. So
that's right. Yep. Year to date average sales price for 2021 was 371,000, and year to date we are sitting at about 436. And again, the last number we showed was September over September, and now we're year to date we're at 436, which is a 17.7% year to date price. So,
and last year we were seeing 30%. So this is a move in the right direction, still pretty big.
still pretty big. It's a big number. It's a non-sustainable number over time. So it's a number everybody wants a return on. It just, comes at a price down the road. So, all right, let's talk about list to sold ratios. This one's interesting. In September of last year, every home was getting over full price from when it was listed to what it actually sold for. Right now, from what homes are being listed at and what they're selling for is almost 8% lower than the price it goes on the market at. And so, and we're seeing that obviously, right? Is we're, doing that with, with our buyers, and when the buyers are making offers, there's, you go in there, not always expecting to pay full price anymore. So.
And Chad, this comes from original list to sold. So this will take into account everything from your original price, any price reductions, and then what you finally sell for.
Exactly. Yep. And so that's down, 8%. So an exact 8%. If you want to look at year to date where things are, this one's a little different picture. We're at 102%, and at 2022, they're selling at about 98% of the actual list price. So what it's saying is that we're listing them a little higher, and then we have to drop the price. And then once the price is right, it's about 98%. You're getting about 2% off the price. But that doesn't include that there's a bunch of concessions in there too. And so, there's a little bit more. There's a little bit more than that 98%. That's not a 98% net to the seller. That is the contract sales price. So I'd still say what would you guys say? Would you say the average deal's getting 3% of concessions, 5%?
Yeah.
Yeah, seems like it's about $10,000 to $15,000.
Yeah, with closing costs or, I don't know, home warranties or carpet credits or things like that, especially rate buy downs, which Hunter can attest to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Ashley, is, we're putting there's a lot of seller concessions to go towards buying down the rates, the temporary buy downs. Typically if you do a 2-1 buy down, you're looking at about 2% of seller concessions. If you're looking at a 3-2-1 buy down, you're close to 4 or 5%. And so, there's a lot of seller concessions right now. Kind of home prices are staying, consistent with where they're listed at, but several $1,000s are going towards the buyers' closing costs, and usually that way we can get the rate, down quite a bit, which is much more dramatic as far as they're lowering their payment than just kind of reducing the sales price.
Yeah. One cool stat that we'll toot our horn on is our year-to-date original list to sold price on our Murdock Manwaring Company listings is 103.13%. And so even though the market is getting 92%, we're actually getting 103%, which means we're pricing them right. And if they're priced right at the beginning, you'll actually get a more aggressive offers. You're going to always net the most if you're priced right at the beginning. And so we're actually, better than where we were in 2021 as far as our actual original list to sold percentage. So
yeah, with the right agent, the fees that you pay are an investment, and you should net more with that,
Exactly.
which you do with our listing agents on our team with Jess and Brian.
Yep, that's right.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that. We're talking about perceptions. As we talk about this, we're going to go into price reductions. But one thing that I think that that sellers need to consider right now, as they're entering the seller market and getting past that past couple of years of having that unusual market, I think the takeaway is you've got to be prepared that your house is going to take 60 to 90 days to sell. You got to price it right, because there's going to have to be price reductions if you don't, and you've got to expect concessions. It's very few homes that don't have any kind of concessions, and I think sellers got used to the past couple of years needing that no one's going to ask for concessions, and so they're feeling like that is a change. So those are things to change as mindsets of sellers.
And just to explain, so a concession is when a buyer is asking for, a credit or an allotted amount in the purchase price for something, say, including closing
like the
costs
seller
in the
to
deal.
pay something for them.
Yes.
Yeah,
Closing costs, carpet, repairs,
buy down, anything
buy
like
downs.
that.
Yep.
So in this, let's talk about price reductions. This is always a hot topic. So how many price reductions have we had here in 2022? As we look through and take a look at each of the months, In September, we had 306, which is nice to see that we're moving away from it growing up from 356, because as sellers are adjusting, realizing prices are what they are, they'll start to not to have as many price reductions when they start to listen to the market and start to realize, okay, I can't shoot for the moon. I'm going to have to price it correctly. So that puts us at 1313 for the year. How many price reductions were in 2021? That put us at, you can see a significant difference. We're probably not quite 3 times as many price reductions year to date this year as we were last year, but we're getting there. So we're coming back down to where we have a normal set of price reductions. So I think that's really great. So that's kind of an idea of price reduction.
Right, Jess? The rates.
Yeah.
People had already listed by the time the rates changed it, and so they had to actively, drop to match the rates in the market that they were in. That's where most of those price drops
and
came.
right now the closed sales are great comparables, but you've got to look at what is pending and what is active, and we're going to take a look at that here in a second. You've got to realize if somebody new comes on the market behind you and they're priced better than you have to make adjustments. That's your competition, and sellers have to realize that is a constant adjustment. You should be having a regular conversation with us on your price to make sure there's something you're not out of the market just by not paying attention because somebody new came on the market lower than you. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about whether or not we feel right now are we overpriced? So I want to talk a little bit about what's the truth about being overpriced. So we're going to take a little snapshot of a normal traditional home in Southeast Idaho. That runs between 2,400 square feet and 3,000. It has 2 or 3 car garage. It's on a 1/4 acre to 1/2 acre, and it has at least 2 bathrooms. Very standard, very middle of the road. There's a ton of this property here in Idaho Falls. As of right now, the sold price last month was $147.11 per square foot for that specific home. If you look at Bonneville, Jefferson, and Bingham counties, 23 homes sold at that price. Now, if we take a look at what's pending, which means that seller has gotten an offer. We don't know what the final price is, but they got the price in a place that they could get an offer. That puts us at price per square foot, $149 per square foot. So we saw they got an offer, and there's 40 right now. They got an offer at $149 per square foot. But when they close, we may see they're adjusting more to that 147 price. Because again, we don't know what the close price is, what the final negotiated price. Now, here's the kicker. What are the active homes that are similar to this on the market saying right now? We're seeing on average, they are priced at $161 per square foot. And there's 48 homes. So if we look at the difference and we say, what's sitting out there trying to sell? They're trying to sell at 161. They need to get down to where at offers, they were getting offers at 149, but what they're actually end up selling for is 147. That means we are overpricing right now. This market might be overpriced by about $14 per square foot. And if you take a look and figure out what that is at 2,500 square feet for the house, that's a $35,000 overprice. It's a lot.
Here's something I'll add to that. And that's again, the public does not see the pending and the sold prices as much. The actives is what they have. So when they're looking to see what their home is worth, they're comparing it against $161 a foot homes, when really those are the ones that aren't selling. The ones that are selling are the ones that are getting a little more aggressive in price. And so right now, it's more than, I don't know about more than any other time, but it is so important to be able to talk with us and have us explain to you how the market is and where your home fits in. Because if you just are looking out and about, you're going to see 161, but you're not even going to see that as an average. You're going to see a lot that are 180, and they don't have a chance at selling. So.
And the hard part is if you're comparing to online, the only information is actives. And so that's giving you a false sense. And I have to correct myself. I said this was the 3 counties, but I priced just the Idaho Falls 5 high schools. So this is in the Idaho Falls area. But yeah, if you're trying to gain confidence on your price based on this homes you see active on the market, you're basing it on homes that are not selling instead of on homes that are selling, which is why right now, being a for sale by owner can feel a little rough. And if you don't have an agent who's having this conversation. So I think that's a powerful slide this month to take a look at. If we move on and take a look at our average days on market. So this is significant. This is the next thing that comes into what sellers really need to be prepared for. We are on average right now in September, 44 days on market for closed sales. These are closed sales, average 44 days on market. Last year was 18. That's a 144% increase on days on market. So homes that are priced right and selling are still taking 44 days to get under contract to get sold. So we need to remember that. Got to be prepared to stay on the market longer. Got to be prepared for stay on the market longer. Year to date, of course, that stretches it out, not quite as a significant change. That only 27 days, if you look on average year to date, I think we'll see that come down as we look at that. That's a 19% increase year to date over last year, which last year felt very hot and spicy, a little too fast. So I think that, that feels a lot better. Just to give a perspective, as we take a look at this, here's what the average days on market for the previous years are. We're hitting in about that 2018 now. So yeah, so interesting.
I think take away sellers on this is you need to talk to your guests rather than think, hey,
Nicole, we're getting you in and out. Sorry. Oh, but she did really. She was saying, you've got to talk to your agent. You've got to get in there. Communication is key. Am I right, Nicole? Thanks for contributing that.
That's why we run the stats, right, Nicole? And we sit and talk to our buyers about that, because it's really important to know what's currently active happening in the market. And that's why we do these stats every single week, let alone every single month.
Yep. And your agent should sit down and look at these stats for your price range. What are the average days on market in your price range? What are those things? Because that's going to be more specific. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We don't guess on the investment you're making. We drive our advice and information from facts. So.
Yep. Cool. Okay, let's look at some snapshots real quick. So in September, Bonneville, Bingham, and Jefferson counties, we had 276 homes that came on the market. That was down about 19% over what came on in August. So we're kind of seeing, and we saw that in August as well. August was a little bit lower than July. So we're seeing the market kind of soften as far as the amount of inventory that we have. Average list price, $476,000, and original list to current price sold was 98.7 to 100.4%.
So let me explain that, Chad. Sorry, I make that a little bit confusing. I just took a look what homes came on the market. If they're still currently on the market, they're sitting at about 98%. If they've sold, they came on market this month and sold, they had it 100%. So if they're still sitting, they've had to come down in price and they're still sitting there, but with the runs that are priced right, they sold for their price.
Bottom line, price it right and you're going to net more money.
That's right.
Price it high, you're going to net less. People don't believe that, but it's true. I mean, it doesn't matter what market, we always see that. So we had 238 homes that went pending. And again, this goes back to what Nicole was saying. It's the 18% fallout rate. 44% of the deals fell apart, which is just a really high number. And again, it goes back to, expectations and your agent being able to help kind of set the table there. I mean, you're never going to have a 0% in a market, but 18% is too high for our market. Snapshot of September, 75 homes withdrew. Of those, the average days on market was 71, price per square foot 186, and they're at 93.8% of their original price. So again, this is typical of what we're seeing as we're moving towards a different market and a softer market. The homes are going to withdraw, and they're also going to do.
Wait, as you go back, Chad, really quick before you, what I think is poignant about this also is after 71 days, they pulled off the market. They'd come down to 93% of what they listed, and they were still at 186.
Yep.
And they're like, if I can't get that money, I'm withdrawing. Well, right there, they sat out there for that long and couldn't sell. Even if they dropped all the way down there, still too high.
Yep. Yeah, about 7% is all they are willing to do on average.
One thing you have to remember too, and maybe Jessica and Brian can talk about this too, is those average days on market, that 60 to 90 days, that's as of when you're priced correctly. And so if you wait to get to the right price, you're going to be looking at longer than that. That's once you're priced correctly, you still, have to wait a certain amount of time for that offer to come in, for the market, for your property to be exposed enough in the market to bring a buyer. And so, every time if you start too high, you can be sitting for quite a while.
Great point, because average days on market's 44. and look at the average days on market of the ones that withdrew, and now with the ones that expired, which 25 homes expired in September, they're on the market for 171 days. So if you're on the market for a while, I mean, it's a price issue. I mean, just it's just that simple. So let's move on to the next one here. So we have currently on the market, there are 637 homes. Last month, there were 652. So we're actually down. A little less homes are on the market. We saw those withdrawals. We saw some expireds. Average
And
days
we're
on
getting
market.
into the winter. I mean, we'll see that in Idaho. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we always kind of do see it kind of dip down a little bit. There was just normal seasonality. So months of absorption rate, we're at 3.3 months of absorption rate, which is a sign of a very healthy seller market. Who would have known that we would have had a crazy out of control market that we used to judge things on? But now this is back to like, hey, 3.3 months, that's a great seller's market. So anyway, that's a healthy, good market. As far as active inventory goes, if you want to see the breakdown, I mean, we're seeing again from 300 to 500. That's where the majority of the homes are. You can go up to 600 a little more, but you know, that's where most of the action is. And
So on this, we are in a buyer's market above, once we start getting really above $500,000. I mean, well, 600,000.
yeah, 600,000 above. You should know how the market is and know that there's some room. There's some, you know, average days on market is higher, and you should be able to get a better deal on there. So there's just more to choose from, and you got to be more aggressive. So,
And in that, when we
anyway,
take a look at buyer versus seller market, why do we care about that? It's kind of who drives the bus, who has the advantage. Is it a seller's market where the seller kind of holds the reins because they're at an advantage, there's less homes to buy, or in a buyer's market where the buyers have the advantage and there's more homes to buy and there's less buyers? And so who advantage in that negotiation? So as you look at this and you're thinking about putting your house on the market, those higher end homes, you are seeing that the buyers are in control upper end.
yeah, but under 500,000, the sellers should still feel like they have a lot of control because absorption rate is still fairly low. So
The reason they might not feel like that, and where it feels differently, is because of the market that we had in the last couple of years. But the market that we had in the last couple of years is abnormal.
exactly.
And it's, you know, wasn't sustainable. It's not normal. And so what's happening right now is, you know, if buyers are including concessions and things like that, that is not unheard of and not, you know, a bad thing. You just have to plan with that on your price, and you're just not going to get, you know, 50K higher than list price with no concessions and no inspections and things like that. It's just what was happening the last couple of years is abnormal. Now we're back more to normal. And so it might not feel like you're getting a great deal as a seller, but you're getting 98% of your list price, or you're with our team, you're getting 103% of your list price. I mean, those are really great numbers.
So in that, if you think back when we were in the hot heat, we were at 14 days on market. I mean, 14 days of inventory, you know, 20 days of inventory. So when you're in that extreme of a seller's market, now we're at 2 months or 7 months of inventory, and we were at 14 days or 7, you know, whatever it was. When you get that low and that extreme, that's where you saw, because there was such an unbalance of supply and demand. This is still a seller's market, but because you compare it to the extreme, it feels weird.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so as far as pending listings, we're at 313 pending listings. Average price 432,000. Original price to current is 94.6. Average price per square foot is $171, and the average days on market of the pendings is 48. So we're continuing to kind of see that number up just a little bit. So Jess, why don't you take us into Idaho Falls and let's kind of see about the market in Idaho Falls, the city of Idaho
Let's take a
Falls.
look. So this puts us in the encompass of the 5 high school boundaries, the 5 Idaho Falls high school boundaries, to give us an idea. So we sold 132 homes last month here in the Idaho Falls area. That's down 17%. Average days on market still sitting right there at 42. And original list price to sold is 93%. So sellers had to come down 7% from what they asked. Currently, the homes on the market are 416, down 2%. They're sitting out there. The ones that are active on the market sitting out there right now, it's average of 65 days. And their current list, their current price versus their original list price is sitting at 96. So on average, they've come down about 4%, and we're sitting at 3.15% months of inventory, which means if no other homes came on the market, we would sell out of our inventory based on the rate last month in 3.15 months. So that's interesting. I think we're not too far off from the 3 counties. Here's what we're looking at: current inventory. So if you're looking to buy a house in Idaho Falls, this is what you've got to choose from. We've got a significant amount under 500,000. So that's really good. But look at those average days on market. The active homes on the market, our average is 50 days. They've been sitting there. This is really where I wanted sellers to go, what to expect. Homes are sitting on the market. They're on average, even at a hot price point, still sitting there for 50 days. So be prepared for a wait. But when you get up above $500,000 to $1 million, now we're moving to 90 days on market. And there's 145 of those guys sitting out there, but the majority of them are under 800. But once you start getting up above $1 million, which we saw in the hot market, quite a few homes sell there. We're now at 80 days on market, 99 days, 100. There's one, our home that's above 3 million that we've never had one sell in Idaho Falls at that price. It's been sitting out there almost 500 days. So we are still having some great inventory. There's still some deals to be had, and we're back in, the price. We're under $500,000. That affordability is looking really good in Idaho Falls. The current market right now, our current pendings, which means how many houses are under contract, is at 207, and their average price is at $447 and $42. Look at that average price per square foot. There it is, middle of the road for Idaho Falls, 165. So if you have your house listed right now and you are above 165, you might want to take a hard look at your price. And even at those, we're looking at prices at 43 days on market. And so that is our Idaho Falls area, and that's the stats here in Southeast Idaho. Crazy days, and but still looking great. Thanks for joining us. And if you would like to get the stats in your email every month, please head over to mmcidaho.com. Click at the top to get our newsletter, and you can get the stats in your email. Otherwise, like and subscribe. Thanks, everybody. See you next month.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. See you later.